Nerd Morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy, and today I'm with my older brother Joseph, who actually does a really awesome podcast called 1% Improved. It's really cool if you're wanting for self-development and improvement. Also, he is a big reader and big nerd fan, so awesome to be able to have here for the show to talk and discuss different things. We're going to be talking about Brandon Sanderson today. I'm pretty excited about this because I'm a major Sanderson fan and haven't really been able to give a lot of coverage yet on the channel. Okay, so I guess, Joseph, for you, what was your first experience and what got you into Brandon Sanderson's books?
Well, the very first, my sister-in-law was telling me about this interesting book she was reading because you could eat some metal and it would give you magic. And at first I'm like, that sounds retarded. Who would write something? Who would read something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Then the first one I read happened to be Mistborn. I ate my words on that one because so much fun.
Yeah.
Such a great story and opening up into the wider realm of all of his stories. That's what really hooked me to Brandon Sanderson's writing, was when I started spotting Hoid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to throw in any spoilers. So if you're new or haven't gotten into his books yet, it's not a major spoiler, but you can look for a crossover character in some of his books. When I found that and realized there's a connection throughout his different books, I was like,
right, it's a huge,
so
really epic thing. I love that about Brandon Sanderson. I feel like I like comics in their connectivity because you have, like, instead of you go from book 1 to book 2, to book 3, you have this kind of spider web that interconnects, and Sanderson does that with his books, that they are clearly distinct and individual stories, which you want, but they also interweave and interconnect with the stuff that ended with the last book that he had for his Stormlight Archive. I was like, oh my gosh, I see how this connects with this series and this series.
Here. And you don't necessarily have to, especially at this point, he has said, you don't have to know each one in order to enjoy it. You can enjoy that book for its own story.
Yeah, but then they're like, oh, this is a little, like, painting from this other place, and this had this insignificance, and then you're like, okay, cool, and you kind of move along in the story, and then if you've read that other book, you're like, wait.
Do you mean this?
Right?
Right?
And that's just such a cool thing.
Oh, it's so fun. Yeah.
For me, my first experience for Brandon Sanderson was kind of the tail end of my college experience. And for me, growing up, I was like really self-conscious with reading, honestly. I had a lot of struggles because like I had to go in and do like a reading tutor. When I was a little kid, I went to this lady and I'd read to her because she helped me work on that. And then when I was like in my middle school years, like I stayed late to go sit down with the teacher and read because I really, really struggled, and I felt like I had this belief that I couldn't be a reader forever, and
you broke that one down.
I totally broke that
one down.
Yeah.
How many books are you on now this year?
Oh my gosh, I'm like over 130 books.
It's July 27.
Right?
So.
Total transformation, and one of the turning points for me was his books, because someone was like, oh, you really, really should go in and read these books. You'll love Way of Kings, but don't start with that one because it's too big. And I picked it up, and I was like, this is so cool. And, I went through the whole thing, and it's a very substantial book.
It's a chunk.
And I was just like, no, the Kaladin Stormblessed character is just so cool, and his progression and growth, and, you go and get along and like grow with the character Shallan, and she was super cool. I am a little bit more of a Kaladin fan personally. I connect with him
but you
in
are a
different ways.
Lightweaver.
But yes, we took the test last night, and I was a Lightweaver. I was like, this is so cool, but I want to fly. And yes, that was fun. That was really cool. They showed me that. That was really, really great.
to fill you in, if you haven't seen it, Brandon Sanderson on his website has a What Knight Radiant Are You from the Way of Kings Stormlight Archive series. So if you haven't seen it, go to brandonsanderson.com and see what Knight Radiant you are. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. It was like, I've done like the which house you are in Harry Potter and a couple of those quizzes, and they're always really, really fun. But this one I was like, wow, this is several questions, and like there's this like slider roll, so you're like, how much of you are of this?
Of it?
And it's always
yes, no,
exactly.
yes, no.
And I'm always like, I'm such a more deep and complex person than a yes or no.
Right.
And
it's really well done.
Yeah, I liked it. It was the best quiz I've done for those. Not to say like the Harry Potter quiz wasn't great, because that was awesome, and I am Ravenclaw, which is obvious, and that was super happy. But yes, the Sanderson quiz.
Windrunner Gryffindor.
Oh man. Oh man.
I can fly.
Oh my goodness. But for me, going through reading those books, like the first one, I was just like, this is just incredible. And then obviously like jumped into Mistborn and just devoured that series.
It was about that time where we were talking and you were reading it and I'd already been through all of them that had been published at that time, and I'm like, oh, have you found Hoyd?
And I was like, wait, who, where? And, you know, piecing those types of things together was just really, really cool. And
it's
like,
an adventure.
You gave me a bit of advantage, which we're hopefully giving you guys too, is that they are interconnected, and there are a lot of different things that if you just kind of keep your eyes out for, that you will see. Like other things that they do that are interconnected is, well, there are people who essentially world hop. There's these different planets and these different like completely separate magic systems and places and environments.
And there's reasons why if you dig into it.
Yeah.
And there's science behind the magic.
Yeah.
It just makes it even cooler in my opinion.
And when you have these people who do world hop and travel to these different locations, they'll say like a certain word for like ground, and they'll have a thing just because of how they depicted
the way they say something,
and like the different phraseologies,
or curse. One of them curses and you're like, wait a minute, you're from over here.
Totally. Now that is a great like little thing to talk about is Brandon Sanderson's use of cursing, because that is fantastic. One of the things that I think that he does in a really interesting way to work with the world building, and also to make it so it's approachable for all like levels of readership. If people are like concerned about like different curses, like he makes it so it's approachable for everybody.
Right. Your parents of a teenager.
Yep, they're not going to be concerned.
Can be like, all right, sure, you can read this.
They're not dropping F words here. It's like, but like a character who's like a scoundrel or a sailor or something that has a different type of vocabulary that involves cursing, that's part of the nature of that in their environment, like they should curse. And
it's what the character would do.
Yeah, and so he wants to be able to kind of like have that approachable sentimentality, as well as be able to use that for his advantage in order to enable world building. And that's just a super cool thing, because like you have to be able to, particularly for fantasy, give this culture, like, you have to breathe life into it. And one of the ways that we have that distinguishes like one culture from another is the words that we use. That's just universally true for any type of culture or subculture, and he uses those in a way to help enable both of those type of like goals. And like in Stormlight Archive, like the storm aspects are pivotal to the magic, to the economy, and all those types of things.
Hardship of daily life.
So
storms.
Right? It just makes sense. It works really well into the culture, and that helps distinguish both where these world hoppers are and where they come from. But also, like...
colors.
It's like, why would that be a curse word? Why does that even... like? But inside of that culture where the magic system is integral in how they, like, decipher color and the luminescence of all those types of things inside of that particular story.
Yep. Warbreaker
Makes sense.
is fascinating. It really is a fascinating read.
Mm-hmm.
Just for that aspect, his romance that he throws in there,
Uh-huh.
you know, is a fun little romance on top of a conspiracy and coup.
Uh-huh.
Coup. All of that is layered in there, and then he invents new curses based on the magic, but also the economy of color in that world.
Yes. And
wow.
I really am fascinated with what he did with that book, because you have this association with divinities inside of his worlds.
Yeah.
And you are thrown into the middle of their religious experience for where their religion comes from, because you're literally hanging out with gods, and gods are your characters. And obviously this is not the type of god divinity concept that we would have here. Little g, exactly.
Small g, yes.
But it is the foundation of their religious culture. And talking about world building, and we talked about how language affects that world building, religion is huge. I mean, even if your religion is that I don't have a religion, you have this certain way of seeing spirituality and how that conveys. And obviously in a world that has magic, there is going to be some mysticism to some level associated with that.
Yep.
And
Elantris
every world
has that specifically. Specifically, and the history of the Atlanteans in Atlanteans?
Elantrians. I was like, wait,
those
people are under the water.
Story.
Right?
Elantrians in Elantris. They were near godlike.
Yeah.
But it was rooted in some power and some specific quirks of the world.
Yeah.
And how he brings that out into there's religion, there's economics. Elantris is hugely founded on economics.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fascinating how he plays all those different parts to tell his story, which is actually foundational to understanding the broader scope of the rest of his stories, and so fun.
Yeah. They all are super connected and have those types of things, but each of the worlds that he has inside of the Cosmere, which is his overarching world, universe, all these different worlds and stories take place. But here, in respects of religions like Mistborn, the people who are the magic wielders, they are often cutthroats or spies. There's not really any spiritualism.
Cutthroats or spies.
And here
really wealthy. Yeah, the mysticism is gone, which is actually a foundational subplot of where did the religions go? Yeah. It is one of the little subplots.
You have a character who goes and dives through and explores this, and that's really, really cool. Then you have these things, and they're kind of on this side where that's how they see the world in relationship to them as individuals and their identity as a people. And then you have Elantris, where you have a whole city that are essentially divinities, and they're seen in that way in this huge divide. And I think it's really cool, because when I see some other type of writers who do things, they have kind of this cookie cutter experience.
Right. There's the gods. We don't want to disturb the gods. Here are the priests and stuff. And I believe in the gods. Thank you. Moving on with the adventure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're there, and that's fine. Which is nothing wrong with that type of a story
Just
experience.
a different way to do it.
Totally.
It intrigues me, and intrigued me for a long time, that Sanderson. I noticed that he would put religion in all of his books.
Yeah.
And learning who he is and his own religious beliefs later on, I'm like, oh, okay. And especially the way he explains why and how he does it is so much of our culture at least stems from, historically, religious roots.
Sure.
And him being a religious person, he likes to explore the concepts of the different religions, the different ways people view religion. And he did it very well, I thought.
Yeah. How that affects and dictates how people approach certain practices.
Yeah.
Because inside of either religion or culture, you have also like certain taboos. And he also explores those taboos, and he he explores kind of like this modesty concept in
fascinating
with Stormlight.
Way of Kings is
It's weird,
right?
And in some ways he's kind of saying some of the things that we do in the belief of what is modest or whatever is weird. That this doesn't have any legitimate reason except for we say that this is how it is.
This is how it has always been.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's a good place for tradition and values.
Sure. But
sometimes you just don't know why.
Yeah.
And he explores that, and it's fun.
And for him in the Stormlight world, like, women have a safe hand and they have it covered. And there's like a whole exploration of that with the character Shallan, and also as you travel around inside of the world, there's kind of like the main culture, the foundational culture, and then there are side cultures that you go through, and they deal with that in a different way in the different places, and that explores. They have to say, like, wait a second, is this ideal or value?
That's weird. Or you don't follow that at all.
Right? And the ramifications that it has is someone has to go, wait, is it okay that someone has a different way of seeing life than I do? And they have to wrestle with that and explore that. And I think that's a tremendously healthy thing to do. And these characters kind of give us an opportunity to go and say, hey, wait, why do I think this way? Or why are the things that are this way that way? And that's one of the things that I think fantasy in general gives a lot of opportunity to do, because if you go in and say, this is the thing that you think, and you should maybe think about that differently, you're going to have some people that are going to instantly give you pushback, because that's the way things are, even if they don't have a better answer for that. But fantasy, you're going to be able to step back and be like, here's this idea, this concept.
Let's build this.
And it mirrors or has a relationship to some of these things. And with that, where do we go from here? And then you kind of go, well, I can kind of see a parallel from here to here, and this idea links in a way, and I find, that there's value and interest in those things. And then you go, piece it together in my life. Now I'm a better, more interesting, expanded human being because I've questioned and thought about these things because of the things that I've been reading.
Right. It was inspired by this.
Yeah.
And it's healthy to think, and I believe this, but why do I believe this?
Yeah.
And if you can give yourself that why,
which is a tremendously valuable thing that fantasy offers.
It does, and it's a great way to explore what I grab onto some of these little concepts in my podcast, and just grab onto one and be like, okay, here's this idea, here's this concept.
Yeah.
Now let's peel it apart. Why do you do that? And I know you do this a lot, where you say, pull out a journal and write about it. You just get your thoughts out on paper. And maybe you hold an erroneous belief. Maybe not. Or maybe you can find out the why. I believe this, and here is why. And give yourself a foundation for it. Because once you have that why and that foundation, then you can move forward. And that's a huge concept in a lot of coming-of-age literature.
Sure.
Kaladin goes through it.
Tremendous.
Shallan is going through it. Hopefully she finds her feet soon.
Next book. Next
book. So Sanderson knows how to take these concepts and write them into his books in a way that is fun, in a way that just kind of fits into the story. He's not doing it to, I'm going to make you think about this. It's not Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's I have this thought. I wonder how this character would deal with this same type of thought. and he just puts it out there. And
Like,
you can read it.
He has actually a little bit of like a treatise on his approach to writing inside with Hoyd.
Yes.
Hoyd goes in there and he's like, I'm not there to tell you what you're supposed to think or at all. I'm supposed to be giving you questions. Yes. And that is essentially, I think, like the purpose of a writer is, you know, like, do you have a moral? That's fine. That's cool. But your story should be almost dictating what morals you're sharing, not you having morals that you're trying to share, and then let that be dictated to your story, because then your stories are rigid and they're wiggling around in order to be able to tell this story. And, like, I think all really, really, really good fantasy tells their story, and if there are good positive ideas that come out of that, that's the things that people get to pull out as they read, honestly, because readers are really smart, and they are encompassed by deep thinkers and people who have ideas, and they extrapolate concepts and values from the things that they read. And I think that that's really, really cool and a tremendous value to spending time, to sitting down, to reading. It
is a great component of good fantasy, and I include sci-fi in that too. But you know, any not our world, I'm putting kind of in that fantasy bucket.
Sure. Yeah.
And it is a great way. The author doesn't even have to be trying to make a point. He can just say, this character, he's growing up. Guess what? As we all grow up, we're going to smack our nose into a brick wall once in a while. This character got through it in this way. And that's something that I'm a big proponent of, is now that you've had this experience, whether you have it yourself or whether you read about it, it's a lot easier to get it from other people and learn from their mistakes.
Sure, yeah, totally.
But stop and think about it, internalize that, and then move forward. So, you know, the ideas of honor that Sanderson puts into his works.
Particularly
Stormlight. It's not based so much on medieval honor systems. There's a component of that, of what it should be. And I love stories that take the honor system of knights and what that should be, and look at it, and sometimes it's not always there. But in Stormlight, honor means something. And it's not just, here is the code of honor. It's your personal code of honor. Kaladin has to find his personal code of honor, and when he does, that's when he gains power. And that is very strong to me. It's not saying, here is the answer.
This is how you're supposed to think about this.
Right?
It's, think about this, figure out what you feel, and then do that thing.
And it's wonderful. It's so fun. And Sanderson does it really, really well, especially in Way of Kings. So,
well, I think we're going to wrap up right there for now. We've got more Sanderson stuff to talk about and to explore. Hopefully this gives you a couple of foundations on, some of the values of fantasy, some of the interesting things that Sanderson has been doing inside of the Cosmere, which is his extended universe, and a little bit about the extended universe. So we'll dive back in more stuff, so keep in tuned for some of those things coming in the future. Thank you guys so much. We'll catch you guys next time.